This video will contain spoilers for Summertime Render. I want to talk about episode 24 of Summertime Render because essentially it just put the whole series null and void. And this is why time travel has always been so fascinating to me, is because when you see how the events can transpire, when you go back in time and you erase everything that had happened 300 years ago, everything at that present moment ceases to exist. Here's some predictions that I have for the next episode of I'm Home. It's going to be interesting to see because if we go off of the idea of what happened when Yushiro erased the whale 300 years ago, then Haname would never have actually been born, which in turn would have made it so Yushiro never died and Shin would have never gone to the island because the only reason he was going to the island was because he was going for Yushiro's funeral. Since Yushiro never got dragged down by Haname in the water and got killed, in turn would mean that all the other characters would never have actually gone to the island to be able to go to her funeral. When Hizuru was on the boat at the end of the last episode, she wouldn't have actually been there because she was going to stop all the shadows. But if all the shadows ceased to exist 300 years ago, she would have never had the reason to go back to the island to stop the shadows because the shadows are already non-existent and Yushiro isn't dead because Haname was never actually in the pool trying to corrupt them. That's incorrect. Hizuru would have actually never left the island because her brother never would have died because she never would have met Haname. The only reason she left the island was because her brother died and she didn't want to be there any longer, but if her brother never died because Haname had never been born, then in turn she never would have left, so she shouldn't have been on the boat in the first place. It's very confusing, you guys. It's very confusing. The point that I'm trying to get across is none of them should have gone back to the island. The episode would have just ended there. Time would have gone back onto normal. The cool thing about it was you can see how the events from episode 24 tied into episode 1 because Yushiro says, as weird as this may be, the events have already all transpired. Everything has happened the way that it has. It's all going to be a continuous loop until the end of time. So they might be stuck in a time paradox almost. It's hard to say because Yushiro was able to go back and bring Shin back to 2018 when he was first arriving on the boat and said to come find me. So I'm thinking that in episode 25, she's still going to be alive. She's still going to be around. She's still going to be being her uplifting self, which I'm excited to see. As for the rest of the team, I don't see why anybody would need to be there. Unless Haname is reborn into a different character, but the god is dead now. So everything that should have led up to this point should not be happening. This is why time travel is so confusing, you guys.